All right, man, oh man, did Father John Pert ever do a fantastic job? I know that during dinner, everyone's eyes were glued to the screen. Another big round of applause for Father John. He did a super job. And man, oh man, what wonderful memories. What wonderful memories. And that's going to be rolling all weekend long, guys. Before Father Gary comes up, I have a letter an email from Bernie Birbaum, who was on the building committee. I just want to read. It is really unfortunate that we will not be attending the anniversary dinner, as we will be back in Canada Sunday evening, April 28th. I wanted to share with you the entire experience of working, first with Father Rick and finally with Father Gary, and it was one of the most rewarding projects during my career. I spent most of my career in land development, where we would purchase land, create building ideas, working with architects and engineers, getting approvals, and usually demolishing existing structures. So in some ways, we followed the same path. However, this project was very different, starting with parish level fundraising and diocese financing after long discussions about relocating the church westerly. Also negotiating with the Catholic School Board on sharing the parking lot in a formal agreement that satisfied the city in meeting the required parking ratios and getting a building permit. So many amazing, energetic parishioners volunteered their time on various committees to meet the liturgical guidelines and create such an impressive building. All that energy was harnessed by Father Gary. A big round of applause for Father Gary Goyeau. He met the tight deadlines and we made that St. George opening day. Locating our masses to STA, the high school, scheduling our regular evening meetings with architects, tendering the demolition contract, and finally selecting the general contractor was a challenge since it was an open process, but it was managed expertly by our A-team volunteer professionals. Now, volunteers that were here on that committee, stand up. Anybody that was here? Father Gary was here. Stand up. A big round of applause for him, folks. Father Gary, stand up. There you go. A big, big, big round of applause for him. And he says, I remember spending many late nights with Father Gary and that committee. I hope the 25th anniversary celebrations are successful, and I wish that you have a wonderful weekend. Cheers, Bernie. A big round of applause for Bernie Birbaum. Now, as I mentioned, Sunday is Father Gary's 45th anniversary. He will be doing tomorrow's Mass at 5 o'clock, Saturday night Mass at 5, plus the 2 Sunday morning Masses. So please, please come on back and welcome our old friend. He told me a story about his dad once in our, I'm just going to, small aside here, Father Pert. So Father Gary has been involved in my life for almost most of those 45 years that he's been a priest. My wife was not Catholic, but almost 40 years ago, she turned Catholic through the guidance of Father Gary. In our house, he is not Father Gary. In our house with the 3 boys, he is Uncle Gary. He is my friend. He is a priest, a well-known priest in southwestern Ontario. He built another church west of here, but let's not talk about that one. We're here to celebrate this one tonight. And his dad told him, and his dad's dreams did come true, not about him becoming a priest. His dad sat him down when he was 11, and he said to Jim, his brother, and to Gary, I just want you to be a good man. When you grow up, I just want you to be a good man. So besides the fact that he's Uncle Gary, Father Gary, a pastor, a church builder, a community builder, he is just solidly a very, very good man, and my wife and I are so very proud to call him our friend and our pastor. How about a big, big round of applause for the main man tonight, Father Gary Goyeau.
Thanks, everyone. I've got a lot of stuff here. Well, good evening, everyone, and it's a real honor for me to be with you, not only this evening, but also on the weekend to celebrate. John wants to know if he gets the weekend off. No, you have another church. To celebrate the 25th anniversary of this building, your church, your home. And as I was preparing for tonight, the last couple weeks, as I was trying to prepare for this opportunity to speak with you, I thought that it was much more important than just the building of this church 25 years ago. We are celebrating a Catholic presence in this part of London called Byron. And it's about people coming together in the early 1950s, wanting a place to gather, a place of prayer, a place for them to have community, most important, a place to celebrate the Eucharist. And they thought about building a church not only for themselves, but for future generations. That was their hope. And so a little history. The first pastor for St. George Parish was Father Raymond Groom. And his appointment was not to a church, but an area called Byron. It was his job to gather people together to look at the possibility of building a Catholic church in this community for the future. He gathered people, and in 1955, I was 5 years old, he celebrated the first Mass in Byron, not in a church, but in Byron Public School Auditorium. Isn't that interesting? In a public school, he celebrated Eucharist for the first time in this community. Good way to start, with other faith communities. In the first Mass, soon after that, he gathered dedicated people together, and so they came together to plan for the first church on this property. They purchased the property across the road from Springbank Park, because that park dates back to 1877. And it was something important in the city of London. And so they wanted to be close to that park. What a smart man. What a great area to build a church in. So on January 1st, 1956, they broke ground on this property. And on November 4th, 1956, Bishop John Cody had the solemn blessing of that first church. And I know that most of you know about that first church. I didn't know about it till I arrived here. And it was a quaint A-frame building kind of something they thought that fit in to the surroundings, the park, and it did. And it served the community well as their parish grew in numbers. But after 42 years of celebrating faith in that church, they had some problems of rotting beams and safety issues. And so the parish had to look at the possibility of building a new church. And Father Rick Janice and a group of dedicated people started the process. And the first job they had was to investigate if they were going to build here or elsewhere. And I think that was a difficult time for Father Rick, because there were people wanting to stay here and there were people who wanted to move. And so he had a tough time with that. But one of the things that happened is that they decided, and the diocese decided, that they would stay on this site. And I think it was a good choice. People knew where the church was in the past, and they knew that this was a Catholic presence here, and so they remained here. And so that's when I took over from Father Rick. And one of the things that, just a little aside here, one of the things I always wanted to do as a kid was build a church. I would dream about building churches. I would draw churches that I thought I could build. I grew up in St. Anne's, Tecumseh, Ontario. They have a beautiful church with a big steeple, you know. And so I had these great big steeples all over the church. But my dream came true when I had an opportunity to work with you to build this building. I was just on cloud nine, I have to tell you. But then I had to build another church. Now that's another story. We built this church in about a year and a half. Good Shepherd took me 10 and a half years. So see this thinning hair here? That's what happened. That's what happened. So one of the things that I want to first of all thank Father Rick Janice for starting that whole process. I don't want to forget how difficult that was for him. And so, yeah, let's thank him. And so when I arrived on the scene, all that hard work was done. So all I had to do is work with people to build this new church. And so the first thing that we did was those people that were working with Father Rick, and we gathered other people. We set up a number of committees. And Nick spoke about that. There was a building committee, there was a fundraising committee, a liturgy committee, and I want to tell you, many of you know Sister Loretta Manzera. Thank you. Sister Loretta Manzera at the time was the head of liturgy for the Diocese of London. And so she worked with our team of people, and Sister Mary Ellen was on that committee as well. She came to almost every one of the meetings as we planned the liturgical part of this building. And this is the first church built in the Diocese of London after the new guidelines were written. The Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops wrote guidelines for churches in Canada. And so the Diocese of London, with the help of Sister Loretta Manzera, helped put our guidelines together. So we are lucky because we were the first ones to get these guidelines and the help of Sister Loretta. After working tirelessly and being given diocesan permission to move ahead, we had the groundbreaking ceremony on May 8th, 1988. So I keep this picture. You saw, I'm going to pass it around. This is Sister Mary Ellen and I digging the hole. But Sister knew that there was going to be pictures and it was going to be on the news and everything. So she, as you see in the picture, I'll pass it around, she has a blue hard hat. And the whole outfit matches the blue outfit. She made sure it looked good. So I want to stop for a moment. And I saw Sister about 4 weeks ago now. What a wonderful visit with Mary Ellen. And so I would stop often. I say Mass often at their place, their residence. And so I always have breakfast with Mary Ellen after. But she is not feeling well these days. And so she's made some hard decisions about moving into a part of the nursing home where she'll get better care. So she wanted to be here tonight. We talked about her coming, but she just couldn't make it. So I told her that I would ask you for prayers, and she said, tell them I'm praying for them. So please pray for Mary Ellen. She was a great person to work with. Both Rick and I, loved her. She was a teacher for many years, so she comes with that experience. But she was really wonderful with people. So I'm going to pass this around. Just keep passing it, but I want it back, please. I want to thank Bernie Beerbaum for writing that letter for tonight. I think it was really beautifully stated. We had many meetings. It was a lot of hard work and prayer to build this home, this church, this place where you gather now, not only now, but for many generations, hopefully. And so on this weekend, I want to give thanks for all of those people who worked so hard to make this possible. Many gave up time and talent and treasure so this can happen. But this is not just a building. This is a community who love and support each other. I've been pastor in many parishes, but I know the love that you have for each other. I would see it each Sunday, and how you would care and pray for each other was a real gift to me. And I have felt your prayers and your support over these last number of years since I have left you, 25 years, So that's a long time, but I pray for you every day. And I just want to share some things that really struck me, touched my heart as I was going through this process of building with you. I first of all want to thank the Beerbaum family. And the reason I want to do that, because I don't know if most of you know this, but when the church was torn down, my house was torn down. I didn't have any place to live. So the Beerbaum family gave me a 3-bedroom apartment for 3 years, rent-free. That wasn't just for me, that was for you too. because you didn't have to pay. So all the money could go into the new church. And so I want to thank Bernie and his father, and I enjoyed that apartment for 3 years. The only problem was poor Norman Sue Riopel had to move me from one place to another, to another, to another, so I think they moved me about 4 times. And then the office and the church and all of that stuff, moving to St. Thomas Aquinas, St. George for daily mass, all of that took a lot of moves, you know. So the other thing that struck me, and Mary Ellen wanted me to say this too, the best time in that building process was when we went to St. Thomas Aquinas, because it was for the first time that people could meet each other and welcome each other. At the first church, the little A-frame, you'd walk out the church and into the parking lot. At the school, you had to walk out together. One entrance, come in one entrance, and walk out together. And that's where community began. And I'll never forget Christmas Mass in St. Thomas Aquinas High School. It was packed. It was packed. And there's some beautiful pictures in there, you know. So I just wanted to share that with you. But one of the persons I want to thank too, and I'm sure the building committee will understand why I'm choosing Larry Hartman to talk about it. Larry told me he's going to be 90. Oh, my God, I was giving you 4 years, Larry. 94 years old. Friends, many of you know that Larry worked for Alice Don for a number of years. And so when he retired, he was here every day as the church was being built. And so he was keeping them on their toes, making sure they were on schedule. And Dennis Matthew was also here with them. And they were like hawks hovering over their prey. So I appreciated that so much, Larry. Thank you. Thank you. And I said to Mary one day, I said, thank you for sharing your husband with the church. And she replied, it's nice getting him out of my hair for a little bit. Way to go, Mary. But thank you, Larry. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, with all the committees that we had, one of the most difficult committees, and it always is fundraising. And Boomer Borski was a real help for fundraising. I've been a good friend with Boomer way before I came here. So, and Boomer helped me with my finances, so I'm grateful to Boomer, you know. But Boomer had some real gifts of how to raise funds. But he and Jane were also very generous. You know, they gave large amounts to help make this parish possible. They were the ones that paid for the statue of Mary, sharing bread to the world, sharing the bread of Christ to the world. They were the ones who paid for the statue of Jesus and child in honor of his aunt, a St. Joseph's sister. And so they really helped us. They didn't want anybody to know that. So you didn't hear it from me. But I wanted to thank him because I was at his funeral. I did his funeral. And he gave of his time and talent and many, many gifts. One of the things, yes. One of the things with the finance committee, I was asked, we sent out letters to everybody about fundraising. And one day I went over to the apartment, not this first one, but the second one, to visit Eileen Reeves. And I have a picture of Eileen in this book. I'm going to send it out to you so you can see it. So I went to visit Eileen, and she hands me an envelope for the fundraising. So she said, "Father, I want you to open it." So I opened it, and it was a check for 67,000 American dollars. And here she lived in this tiny little apartment, very sparse furnishings, small kitchen, single bed, and a little washroom. And I said, "Eileen, I can't take this money from you." "Oh, yes, Father, you can. I want you to give this to the building committee because I can walk to church every day from my apartment. And I want people to be able to do that every day. So they have a church in this community for the future." So I said to her, "Eileen, do you have any children?" She said, "Yes, I have a son, John." I said, "Eileen, could I have your son's phone number, please? I just want to talk to him about this." So he lives in Georgia, and here's his phone number. So I called John, and I said, "John, I'm Father Gary Goyeau. I'm your mother's pastor, and we're building a new church, da-da-da-da. And your mother just gave me a check for 67,000 US dollars. And I said, "I can't take that check." "Oh, yes, you can, Father. My mother wants to give that to the church." He said, "I'm fine financially. I don't need that money. But it's important for my mother to give that money to you." I just got so emotional, like I'm doing now, So, anyways, I write John every Christmas and tell him I'm praying for his mother. And every Christmas, I get a card back from John thanking me for taking that money. So, Eileen, thank you. And I circled her right here so you can see her face. Thank you, Eileen. Almost done. Here, the first vigil here in the church wasn't even blessed, and we had the first vigil. So we had permission to do this. So on April 3rd, 1999, the baptism of Stephen Prieb and the sponsor Bill McCullen was happening. And so, as Nick and Evelyn told you, I am referred to Uncle Gary by Julian, Matthew, and Marcus. I baptized Julian. I'm Matthew's godfather, and Sister Shirley McCauley was his godmother, and Marcus I baptized. I married Matt. I was the officiating priest at Julian's wedding and Marion's wedding. I just officiated at Matthew and Alyssa's wedding this past August. And Marcus, we're not sure yet what's happened. I talked to him today. I said, "Any girls on your arm?" "Not now, Uncle Gary. Not now." So that's good. But at that blessing, Julian was 6 years old. And so he asked his parents, "Can I go up and see Uncle Gary do the baptism and bless the water?" It's in the far corner of the church. He came over around to the baptismal fount. And then I asked people in the church to pray for the coming of the Holy Spirit. And so, here's this little guy in my eye. Here's Julian praying like this. And he did not move for the whole minute of silence. He just prayed. Now, I thought he was going to be a priest. And so Uncle Gary was not happy. But he's got a wonderful wife. He's studying in Rome. He's getting his doctorate in theology. He hopes to teach in a seminary. And he is a good man. Good man. So, I am proud of him. But it was that little kid that moved me that night. And you know, we sometimes miss that. The little ones in our parishes who have this spirituality that's just beautiful. And so I thank Julian for doing that. And I will never forget that moment. I have a picture of that. Somebody sent me a picture. Do you think I could find it to bring it with me? I don't know where I put it, you know, so it's called old age. And one of the final things I want to say is I love this church because it's barrier-free. There's not a step in this church. And as we get old, I don't know about you, but I have tripped up some steps in some churches and have done some beautiful dances. There's no church like this one. So I live with Father Bob Champagne, Sue Riopel's brother. We live at Heavenly Rest Cemetery, above the ground. And we go all over the Diocese of London helping out on weekends. So you have 4 steps here, and then 3 steps down, and then 2 steps up, and 6 steps down. And poor Bob has more of a problem than I do with vision and glasses. We have done some dances, I'll tell you. So this is it. I don't know why the second church I built, we couldn't do that. But for some reason, it would have cost us big bucks. So I'm grateful that we have one in the diocese that is all on one floor. Yay! I just want to close with something that was in our little booklet that we gave out at the opening of the church. And it's a message from the architect, okay? And so this just gives you a picture of what happened throughout this process and why we did the things we did, you know? And so this man was Bill Crone, architect from Walter Fetty Partnership, and he is from Kitchener. So he writes, the design of the St. George facility reflects the main components of the building program, worship area and chapel, administration and pastoral care, hall and narthex. That's another gift you have, is the narthex. What a great gathering space. The square plan of the worship area results from the desire to congregate around the Eucharistic table, consistent with the diocesan guidelines. The heightened sense of communal liturgical celebration manifested by the essential in-the-round seating configuration, combined with the notion of rebirth and rebuilding on the cusp of the millennium, evolved quite naturally to an exploration of the Renaissance formal architectural precedents. So, you know what the architectural form is. It's from the Renaissance. The centrally planned Renaissance model serves well to reinforce the ideas of equality, sharing, assembling, and worshiping together. The large single opening in the center of the ceiling above the altar opens the light-filled lantern in a manner reminiscent of the historical dome, which emphasizes unity and oneness. The interior space is gracious, unifying, prayerful, and serene. Acoustic treatments and state-of-the-art sound and lighting systems complement the liturgical requirements. Additional features enhancing the space include the east wall light well with stained glass and sculptured crucifix, the devotion niches, and the splendid baptismal font which celebrates the living waters. I want to stop there for a moment. Chris Reese was the one who designed our cross and corpus and our two statues. Sister Loretta and the liturgical committee worked with him. And so Chris was a Canadian artist, which we wanted, from Windsor, Ontario. Chris went to church every morning before he would begin working on those pieces of art. He was a Roman Catholic, and he celebrated the Eucharist every day before he started his work. Chris finished our work in time for the opening, and 3 months later, he died at 44 years old. It's the only liturgical items he did were here. I walk by his grave every day, and I thank Chris for his wonderful work. And the architect goes on and he says, the facades of the worship area are inspired by Michelangelo's Lazzaro di Conservatory in Rome. The sublime proportional system derived from this Renaissance masterpiece lends an appropriate elegance and a beauty to the principal volume of the church. Along the west property line, a one-story building wing accommodates the administration and pastoral care offices and hall functions. The administration and pastoral care offices and meeting spaces are to the north, where the hall with associated servery kitchen and storage room is self-contained to the south. The exposed wood trusses structure of the hall provides an ambiance and welcome warmth, echoing the exposed heavy timber roof structures of the main worship space. And so I thought I would finish with that and just to give you a picture of what all took place in the preparation for this building. My prayer for you is that in my homily tomorrow, I don't want to give everything away, but one of the things that I pray for is that you will continue to be welcoming, that you will bring people with you, that you will bring your grandchildren with you, that you will bring your neighbors with you, that you will invite people to come. Community is important. You need each other. You need friendship and support, and you need prayers, and that's what this place is all about. That's why we built it the way we built it, so community could be fostered. And so I pray for you every day, and I'm very honored to be here this weekend, and I hope that you'll come and listen to the sermon on Sunday. And thank you very much. I love you, and I pray for you every day. God bless.
All right. How about another big round of applause for Father Gary Goyeau? And again, guys, please come to either 5, 9, or 11 this weekend. Father Gary will be there while Father Pert takes a nice weekend off or whatever. There you go. Take it easy on him. And don't forget to congratulate him on 45 years of being ordained. Another big round of applause for Father Gary Goyeau. Okay, we've had a fantastic evening. If you've had a few drinks, please, again, make it home safely. If you've had too many, please call an Uber and get home safely, because we want to see you at Mass either tomorrow at 5, Sunday at 9 or 11. But before we wrap things up, I want to call up Father John Pert to say some closing remarks. A big round of applause for Father John Pert.
What can you say after Father Gary gave all that? That was wonderful. I just wanted to thank everyone for being here this evening. I want to thank in particular way the small committee we put together to plan for the 25th anniversary. They did some wonderful work, and I think it turned out very well. It's just so good to see so many faces. You can thank the committee if you want to. They deserve all their applause. And we should thank Mayday Catering. We thank Mayday Catering for a wonderful meal. Just want to once again say thank you ever so much. I thank Father Komisky for being here, representing Bishop Fabro for us. And somebody over at the table over here referred to me as you talked about me coming back, the two-time pastor. Somebody referred to me as the second coming. I might believe it, but anyway, thank you very much. Stay around if you wish. Have a great evening, and God bless you. Thank you ever so much.